Hunter Biden finally has come out, done an interview, and it looks really bad. You know what we see from this interview, at least my takeaway from it, is that Hunter Biden doesn't realize that what he did is soft corruption and that most Americans will really, really detest what he did. Okay, basically, he essentially admits he only got this job in Ukraine on this board getting $50,000 per month because his last name is Biden. And he says it. That to me is insane. For him to be like, yeah, he was asked, do you think you would have gotten this job if you weren't, do you think this, being Biden got you the job? And he goes, probably, whatever. It's like, no, stop. That's what Americans don't like. That's what people don't like. That you got, he goes on to say that he was qualified. I think it's fair to point out when he cites his qualifications. Sure. But come on, man. We don't like this world of you're rich, therefore you, like your family is a dynasty, therefore you get to be rich. What kind of world is it where you literally have a caste system? It's like you were born with the name Biden, therefore you deserve $50,000 per month. No, that's ridiculous. But it's reality. It is. Let's be honest. It's reality. It's technically not his fault, but it does show the American swamp and the soft corruption that he's not deserving necessarily of this job. He didn't fight for it. He's not, trying to rise out of the gutter to become successful. He just gets it. That's what people don't like, and that's what fuels the populist movements on the right and the left. Now, the left goes the Bernie route, saying we don't like this. The right goes the Trump route, saying work hard and you'll succeed, and that's where that's their starting position. For me, look, man, I get it. I'm not gonna, he's a Biden. There you go. He's gonna get offered jobs. Should he not take them? Well, there's a problem. If someone comes to you and says, I'm going to offer you a job, is he not allowed to get it? And how do you draw that line? The point is, we as Americans don't like it. And a CBS panel agrees. Hunter Biden's awful interview was damning for his dad. You look guilty. This is from Pluralist saying, hosts and politicians on CBS This Morning, Tuesday, noted that Hunter Biden's recent interview with ABC News was a bad look for his father's campaign and noted that it made Hunter look guilty. They say, co-host Anthony Mason wondered aloud on CBS if Joe Biden will have to answer questions, about his son's Ukraine dealings during Tuesday's Democratic debate. And co-host Tony Dokapil noted that Hunter may have handed some spears to the opposition with an interview today. Look, he did profit off his father's name, Terry Sullivan, a CBS News political contributor, and Marco Rubio's former campaign advisor said. At least he's taking responsibility for it. But it does look kind of awful. Yes. If I was sitting next to Hunter Biden, what I'd say is, don't ever go on TV again, ever. You look awful. You look guilty, Look, Hunter points out that he's a Yale lawyer, that he worked on these other really big companies like Amtrak and all that. And so he's certainly qualified. But here's the thing, man. Those positions only come to you because of your name. And therein lies an unfortunate circumstance that perhaps you must be relegated to a limited existence. I'm not trying to be mean, but let's be honest. If somebody was born in the gutter and eventually became a board member at a Ukrainian gas company, it's kind of like, well, what are their qualifications and how do they get to that position? If you're the son of the vice president and the vice president is pressuring that government to fire a prosecutor and do all of these things inside Ukraine, something doesn't add up, okay? And so the problem is, should you just back away? Well, he says, you know what? He made a mistake. Hunter Biden admits it. He says he's going to step down if his dad becomes president. Now step down now, dude. We as Americans, we believe in meritocracy. And this is the opposite of that. This is what makes, it's fodder for the far left and the socialist type saying, see, they didn't earn their keep. Yeah, that's a good point. He didn't. He was handed it. He had a wealthy family. They had access. They had political clout and they got what they wanted. Not cool. So you get to live comfortably. You get to be rich. Fine. I get it. But at a certain point, you got to realize if your dad wants to be president, you're going to make him look bad. They say Sullivan's comments came after Robbie Mook, a Democratic strategist and Hillary Clinton's campaign strategist for the 2016 presidential campaign, suggested that Hunter's actions are nothing compared to what President Donald Trump and his family has done. Mook suggested that Hunter Biden needs to buck up and deal with the repercussions of the accusations. There you go. Hey, that's fair, right? That's from the other side. That's from the left. Sadly, look, These things are really hard. I don't think this is going away, Mook said. And there's no perfect solution. The campaign's just got to manage through it. Look, if I were sitting next to Hunter Biden right now, I'd say, buck up, my friend. I mean, what happened here is nothing compared to what the Trump family has done. Whatever, man. It's all the same. It's all the rich, whatever. Hunter Biden admitted Tuesday to Robach that perhaps he did make a mistake in serving on the Ukrainian gas company's board. However, he asserted that the mistake was not due to some unethical lapse. Trump has hit back at Joe Biden and accused him of using his position as vice president to pressure Ukrainian officials into firing his top prosecutor. Yada, we get all that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hop over to this more general story. I wanted to highlight that one because you had a panel of hosts and journalists saying, dude, you look guilty. And now we can get more to the minutia. Here's the story from Daily Mail. Donald Trump claims Hunter Biden was really bad and compares his business dealings to Hillary Clinton's emails after Joe's son breaks silence on Ukraine scandal to admit poor judgment, but defiantly say he did nothing wrong at all. I do want to give some criticism to the GOP, right? They tweeted out this video saying Hunter Biden admits to talking with Joe about Ukraine. He was asked if he ever had a discussion with Joe Biden, and he said no. And then the host says, he said he asked you, he hopes you know what you're doing, and Hunter says, yes, that was it. They're not discussing it. Technically you could argue, but it wasn't a discussion. It was, I hope you know what you're doing. Yep. And that was the end of it. So that's unfair criticism, I got to admit. So let's just jump down. Hunter Biden said he exercised poor judgment in his business deals with Ukraine and China, but emphasized he did nothing wrong in the scandals that have engulfed his father's presidential bid and made the family a political target for President Trump. And full stop. Actually, let me read the quote. In retrospect, look, I think that it was poor judgment on my part. I think that it was poor judgment because I don't believe now when I look back on it. I know that did nothing wrong at all, he told ABC News. However, was it poor judgment to be in the middle of something that is a swamp in many ways? Yeah. I gave a hook to some very unethical people to act in illegal ways to try to do some harm to my father. That's where I made the mistake. So I take full responsibility for that. Did I do anything improper? No, not in any way whatsoever. Did I make a mistake? Well, maybe in the grand scheme of things, yeah. He said in reference to the fallout from his overseas business. But did I make a mistake based upon some ethical lapse? Absolutely not. No, you did. You did. That's what he doesn't get. You want to know why you look bad, Hunter? Because you're acting like it's not wrong of you to become extremely wealthy simply because you have a name. Now, I will admit, there is freedom. There's a reality to political clout. I get all of that. But how do you think a poor union Democrat type moderate individual who just lost their job is feeling when they realize that you have admitted on TV you got the job because of your name? You could have said no, okay? Hunter points out, he says there's no way he could talk to someone and not mention he's the son of the vice president. And that's a good point too. And that's a conundrum. But I got to tell you what, man, you're not going to be wanting. You're going to be rich no matter what you do. You don't need to take a $50,000 a month job. You're rich. Congratulations. So the challenge is we have these families. They trade favors. They use their clout and advantages are given. Is it Hunter's fault? Not necessarily, but there is something seriously wrong with this picture because people know by hooking up Hunter, they are going to potentially have access to Joe. But more importantly, whether you want to admit it or not, there will be some blocks in what Joe can do if Hunter is involved. Look at what's going on now with the accusation against Joe Biden. That's a perfect example of why it is seriously unethical for him to take these positions with foreign companies, especially when Joe is working on these national security. Let's put it this way. At the very least, he should have stepped down the moment Joe was going to be working with the Ukrainian government and should say, I can't do this. It's a conflict of interest. Because now you're going to have people saying, hey, hire Hunter, and his dad's going to be reticent to come and do anything about it. You see the problem here. There's several different problems. People trying to get favors because of who your dad is and hoping that you will essentially provide some protection. And the other issue is nobody wants to believe we live in a world where you just get to be rich. That there's this socialist on Twitter who says that fry cooks work harder than CEOs. And that's insane. Of course, that's not true. A guy flipping burgers is not working harder than a CEO. Okay, CEOs sacrifice almost everything and have weird lives. And not every CEO is wealthy. You can be the CEO of a small company not worth that much. Some CEOs don't do a lot of work, but here's the point. This is the example of capitalism they use as fodder. The individual who was born into a family name and is being given these lucrative jobs when they're not qualified. Now, he argues his qualifications, fine, but come on. You don't speak Ukrainian. You don't know anything about Ukraine or the energy sector. So sure, you can be a lawyer and all that stuff, but you don't know about the product. Why are you in this industry? What if I went and became like, someone hired me to make shoes? You'd be like, why, what? And I'd be like, hey man, I worked with a lot of marketing campaigns, I have a lot of experience in a peripheral area to a business. Nah, dude, it doesn't make sense. You might have some elite level qualifications, but in the end, you would not have gotten this job if it weren't for your dad, and that is politically damaging to everybody. So in the sense that people will weaponize political families in this way. Politico wrote a story about the Biden family dynasty and about how Biden's family has gotten wealthy off his name. It's plain and simple. So you know what's funny? Look, in a lot of ways, I understand why they say Trump looks bad when he released the transcript, because he says, do me a favor. And I'm like, yeah. But I just don't think it rises to that level. But to think this interview looks good for you would be nuts. Well, I'll leave it there. I got another segment coming up in a few seconds, in a few minutes. Stick around. This one's kind of, Trump is trying to flip some states. It's going to be crazy. So stick around and I will see you in a few moments.